Can you hear me? Can I stop making noises?
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Good.
Oh, look at that time lag.
It's about a little more than 100 milliseconds.
3:20.
It's got farm delay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did a internet speed test here when we got here, and the ping was like 600 milliseconds or something.
I don't know how to convert that to freedom units.
It's like just send a pigeon. It'll be better.
Yeah. Yeah, the download rate was all right, but yeah, super slow. Where are we? Well, thanks for accommodating my sleep in with a time delay. Sorry about that.
It was like 5 minutes, and we're both pretty prompt at this, surprisingly. And I was like, there's something with the farm. You either didn't make it, which you sent me a photo, so I knew you made it, or, something else happened. And I was like, I bet it's a time thing, or like you just maybe had a really late night.
No, just 1 hour difference.
How is your trip to the... How many kilometers are you away, roughly?
I am about 2,200 kilometers from home, and it's kind of hot and humid as expected, but the weather's been okay. We've been up here 3 days now, and it's okay. It's pretty comfy. I think the road, we're about 60 kilometers from the nearest pub.
Whoa.
That's the nearest sign of life, as far as I'm aware.
All right. For all you Americans, he is 1,367 miles or 37 miles from a pub. I had to do a little math there. That's a long drive. Did you drive that whole way?
No, we flew
I was gonna
most
say.
of it and drove the last. Flew and then drove for about, 5 hours or something.
Australia is so deceptively sized. It always seems enormous to me. And then it's even more enormous than I think it is.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. Well, it's just, it's really spread out up here particularly.
Yeah.
Like the property we're on, I think, I was trying to decipher the map yesterday. I think one fence line's maybe 15 or 20 kilometres down on the short side of the property.
Wow.
It's huge. They got one of the vehicles bogged yesterday in the creek. We had to do a little rescue mission. And you just drive out away from the house into the landscape. And at a certain point, when you're still on the property, the two-way radio reception runs out, and there's no phone reception here. So you kind of just you're out of range fully.
Holy crap. That's wild.
Huh.
I hear birds. It's joyous in that way.
Yeah. Dawn is coming. How are you?
Yeah, doing okay. I've been having a really hard time just focusing on what I need to focus on, but that's kind of off and on always a problem for me, and I think the last few weeks have been worse than normal, but overall in a decent mental state, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just working on things I shouldn't, trying to stay on the things I should be working on. Not screwing around and playing PlayStation, but just working on website stuff or, not
You're developing games as well.
Yeah. No. But I'm curious to hear about your game development.
Yeah, and I can relate to that sense as well. I think I'm in a similar state of just not being particularly well focused this year so far.
Yeah.
What should you be working on?
The pedestals. I work on them every day. It's not like I'm just screwing around. It's mostly the just difficult. I don't know. They're not even difficult. Making decisions about how things should, end up in the end. And if there's bigger changes to be had, nothing that affects customers. It's how we make it more efficiently, or, the latest was we went from 6mm pin alignment pins to 5mm pins, which is not a big deal. It made it more efficient. You don't need 2 drills when you're drilling into the table. You just need 1 from doing that, which is a nice change. So that was an easy decision. But then I was like, oh wait, you could actually do this other thing where you take 2 pins out and make it, join the riser or the base and the table at the same time. So then the problem became those got more expensive, over 2.5 times more expensive for those pins. And I was using undersized pins and drilling standard. Then those were expensive. So if you standard pins, undersized pins, they're cheaper. So you have to make an oversized hole. So I was like, just shifting weird little finite details around and getting those tools and sourcing the pins and just a lot of tedium, but like in the end it will make for like instead of needing multiple sizes or something, we just have one less of them. Just needing to decide on that stuff and then also like make it all work, and so it's closer yet, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, regular product design.
Yeah.
Conundrums, yeah.
I think we'll just speed that like, part up. Nobody cares. It's just...
No, but it's still part of it. Like, yeah. It's part of product design and development, right? Like,
yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder what the distinction is, but... yes. But, like, I wonder what the distinction is between elements of that process, which you might describe as tedium, and elements of that process, which are, like, the tinkering that we both enjoy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, well, that's interesting to get into a more, well, just another topic related to that I written down is that in the last few months, roughly 6 weeks, I'd done so much just like every day come in and I guess do none of the like thing that I like, right? The R&D, the new things, the making new things or finding out ways to make new things is mostly just like solving hard problems or trying to make enough money. Just simply like straightforward things for so long. And this stupid little home project I needed to do one morning, I just was like, all right, I'm going to do that for my R&D time. When I get here, it was like the simplest thing, but I came away realizing once again, like how important that is for me to like, just do something that isn't, it's almost like it feels like it's the wrong thing to do, but it like feels so right getting away with it.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. What about it? Is it the playful, like the sort of unaccountable factor, or why?
No, I definitely think it's just not directly. It's probably my past, my history of too many things that never turned into a product or something that we could sell that is just exploration. Maybe feels like that or something. I don't know. Or whenever like money is tight, it feels like, or not coming in as much as you want, it feels like I need to work on solving that, not toying around with a new thing. But then it's like a morale boost for myself in a weird way to like get to do that.
Totally.
So that was nice.
Yeah, I think for me, when I'm in that space, it's like it's kind of getting a bit of time that feels unaccountable to those pressures of like making money or revenue, or it's finding something to do that's a little bit external, like related, but also it's not a sort of critical driver to making a sale or solving a client problem or even solving a product problem. Yeah, it's kind of fits more into the play space.
Yeah.
Same for me. Like I just need it to continue to feel good about my practice, I suppose.
I mean, there's no like, I wouldn't say it feels selfish necessarily, but there's, I've known that forever, that it's, if I don't feel a drive towards something, like it's not enjoyable or interesting to me, then I suck at it usually. Like I just like don't follow through. I don't know what that is. That's not good, but that's why I always say I'd be a terrible employee. So hopefully if I ever need a job, nobody listens to this. If I seem interested, then that's a good sign.
There's a 40-hour resume just here. Just in a gem.
40 hours of resume. 40
and why
show.
We're not hireable. Yeah, 40 the show.
This podcast proves why we're not hireable.
I think about that from time to time. Do you? Like, what would I do Like if I was going to go and apply for a job, where would it be? What sort of work? Yeah, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I think I told you when we came back from the beginning of the year that through that holiday time, I think I had the closest just feeling of need to like reconsider everything. And I did for the first time. And since I started the CNC thing, literally like, what else would I do? And really didn't want to, like, it wasn't good, but just for it's just been so stressful and just things like didn't feel like they were going well. And so I was just like, and mostly, you know, conversations with Aaron. All right, well, what would it be? What else would you do? Would make you happy? And I'm not going to say them because someday they may be useful, but as of right now, I'm not going anywhere. Business isn't going anywhere. We're doing pretty well. And we got, I guess, on good news, one of our best clients ever is basically back for could be 1 to 2 years probably of part making. And that was really good news because, yeah, they're like our best client ever. So that's good.
Yeah. Are they router parts or mill parts?
Yep. Router parts. Just pretty simple plywood parts.
Excellent. That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't been making much at all this week, obviously, but I do have everyone at home working away, which is excellent. And just, I don't know, grateful for my team, I guess, of being able to step away for a couple of days and have things tick along.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And Laura's brother, who we're visiting at his family up here, he's a farmer, but quite a talented. I don't know if he'd like me describing him as a farmer. I don't know what he'd call himself. But he's quite a talented metal worker, sort of agricultural fabricator. And he's got, there's so many vehicles up here. There's like huge bulldozers and trucks everywhere you look. But he's just finished working on this big sort of cattle box thing that sits on top of a semi-trailer truck.
Yeah.
And I was walking around it, admiring his welding work the other day and just looking at how straight and true it all is for something that was built up in the air on the back of a truck. But I realised when I got up here that I wanted to do some long exposure photos in the evenings and overnight. But I didn't have a tripod, so we dug around and found an old sort of laser level tripod base, and then I did some very, very basic little welding the other day.
Cool.
Just to make up a little adapter for my camera. But it just kind of reminded me how much I enjoy welding metalwork. Like I still have a real soft spot for that process because that's where we sort of started the business.
Yeah.
And we don't do it. The business doesn't do it much at all anymore, and I certainly don't do any metalwork anymore, but I really enjoy it. Have you done any MIG welding?
Yeah, I came from a farming community in the Midwest of the States, and while my family didn't do any of that, I liked shop classes and like woodworking things. My grandfather did a little bit, and so it was very agricultural people that did the welding classes, but I was the kind of city boy that took the welding classes. I was actually pretty good at it, and then ended up making a trailer out of that with MIG welding. So I was lucky. I appreciated learning that right away because I wouldn't say I'm great, and it's kind of one of those things I feel like you need to do almost like drawing or something to like come back and make good welds again, like pretty welds anyway. And we have a welder, and I rarely weld, but it's just useful too. Like we don't do it much here, but every once in a while there's something need it for. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's not. It's really versus most any other type of making. What's so satisfying to me, which I'm sure other people can relate to, is you can make this kind of like, even if it's messy, as long as it's like functionally attached between two pieces, you can just get rid of all the mess. Just grind it away, polish it, and it just looks like two pieces like are perfectly stuck together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much become a sort of maintenance tool for us, I think, back at work. And we've talked pretty seriously about just packing up all the space that the welding by users in the workshop and just really break it down to just a maintenance function. Maybe free up space for another machine there in the future. But yeah, I don't think I'd ever get rid of it just because of that. That hot glue maintenance function is super handy.
Hot glue.
Hot.
Do you still have the plasma table?
No, we sort of broke that down and sold off the parts when we moved to Castlemaine.
I see. Yeah.
Too messy. And then my other distraction up here, other than photos, which has been really nice to get a bit of focused photo time, no pun intended, has been thinking about the Kitta Configurator. Josh posed a question to ChatGPT last week of like, could we build blah, blah, blah in Unity, which is one of these game building platforms, much like Unreal Engine, I think a competitor of Unreal. Anyway, ChatGPT came back and said, yes, that all looks possible, blah, blah, blah. You'll be able to have a web interface using this sort of code. And so I thought that was a very intriguing idea because we still haven't started with any developers on the actual configurator build. And anyway, so I downloaded it before I left and I've had a little bit of a play while I'm up here with this Unity game building platform. And yeah, I think I just keep running into roadblocks where I can't code. And whenever I look at blocks of code, I'm like, oh, too hard. Don't understand what's going on here. So it is kind of a little bit drag and drop, which is more my style, but every time you're basically dragging blocks of code onto objects and sort of assigning functions to them. And that's where I run into difficulty. So I was sitting there the other day. I was like, why don't I just like post a mini brief to Fiverr and see if I can get someone to build, like just prototype the functionality. And so I went looking for 2D game developers on Fiverr and sort of posted a few little mini briefs, and everyone came back saying not interested, which was annoying because I really just wanted to just test whether, like, I'm sure it's possible. It's a very simple function, but I just wanted someone to sort of flesh out the bones of that, like drag and drop, sort of having a palette of parts and just dragging and drop and having that snapping function of the thing onto a screen. But yeah, I think it's still got legs. Any
reasons why people were?
No, none of them gave reasons. I don't know if it was too busy, too hard, or just like not enough of a game for them to be interested. I think there's quite a few people on there who are just trying to sort of gain experience, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe build up a folio, and this didn't look like something they wanted to do. But
I feel like Fiverr screwed themselves by their name, because originally I feel like it had to be $5 or something like that, or that's my interpretation of how it started. And I think it's changed significantly, but I've never looked at it seriously because I don't want to pay only $5 for something. I just feel like there's no way it's going to get the right amount of like professionalism or something. And I know that's not true, but there's this weird like lingering feeling. So and like Saunders always talks about Upwork. So I've posted one thing on Upwork and got a few things. It was like a website development thing a long time ago. I don't remember, but I never followed through on any of it. But I was just going to suggest that basically I feel like Upwork may be another version of that. So
yeah, cool.
You might find.
I'll have a go at reposting the same thing there. See if I get any bites.
Also,
I know
you could
I'm pretty sure
position it.
Jade.
Go for it.
Oh, there's that 600 millisecond. Oh my god. I know Jay threw up like the full Kitta brief on Upwork like last year. But it was just too meaty approach. Like it seemed too big. And at the time we didn't have any bites for anyone who seems capable of pulling something like that off. But this is just like a little prototyping job. What were you going to say, sorry?
Well, I was rethinking, so like the Unity thing, I don't know a lot about it. I remember back when I was in architecture school that I had a classmate who did a bunch of projects using it to basically show how your building could work in the game environment. I never had to. I didn't really. I like watched a few of those walk-arounds, but I'm just thinking that while it was maybe initially made for games, that it might be a hard, like if you're just wanting to work on games, you're not going to want to work on a product configurator, but there should be crossover, right? Like of other things, other people's professions that want to come into make money, I guess, right? To help you make your thing. So maybe it's just not phrasing it in the game category or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's also just that classic thing of like, I love an excuse to learn a new piece of software.
Yeah.
But it'd be so epically inefficient for me to learn Unity and C# or whatever it is, and then try and like even make the bones of this thing. But that's what I want to do. Like that would make me happy. Like learning new code, new software, and just doing that. But you know, even just thinking about that, I'm like, why, Jem? Like, what a stupid use of your time. Like, why would you do that? But I don't know. We'll see.
What happened to Jem? Oh, he started his own coding company. He left like butter. He became a developer.
Oh, there we go.
He just makes games now.
Yeah. Virtual furniture for the metaverse.
Let's see. A friend asked me if I'd seen this thing going on in the kind of woodworker community in the States here. And I hadn't. I was aware of the product in question and hadn't connected the situation. I guess one post that kind of broke it all open, which we've linked, from Union Manufacturing Co., which frankly reads like a ransom note the way it's written. It's a little bit odd and a lot of ellipses and a lot of caps lock, and so it feels like it loses some credibility there, but the message is there, I suppose, that basically katz-moses Tools, which is a fairly well-known YouTube creator, woodworker, katz-moses, and he has a tool company that he started to make tools and resell, you know, woodworking tools. And they've kind of focused on that more and more over the last couple of years. They made a thing called a router plane, which I frankly don't really understand. That's just, I have a CNC router for that reason, but it's a sexy looking hand tool. And the whole point of this whole thing here, Union Manufacturing's post, is that he believes that katz-moses has completely ripped off the Veritas router plane by Lee Valley, and Union Manufacturing Co., writing the post, also makes tools. And so they're wanting to call out this situation that they don't believe it's right to copy somebody's product, and that nobody was saying anything about it, that we were just letting this go on. I wasn't really aware of the other one, but when you look at them side by side, they're pretty dang close. I think similar to our conversations in the past, there's an open letter from the founder of Lee Valley that basically says kind of what you and I have talked about, is it's really expensive to have patents, and I guess that's what I was reading into anyway. And so we would rather keep working on new products than to worry about dealing with loss, basically, is how he phrases it, shrinkage.
Yeah, interesting.
So
it's a cool example. It's an interesting example of this because I feel like a bit of an outsider to that hand tool world.
Yeah.
And when you sent this to me yesterday, I looked at the photos. I was like, yeah, it's a router plane. I know. I've never used a router plane, but I kind of know what they look like. And like, I'm unfamiliar enough with the product to be able to look at it and go, oh, it's a router plane. Of course it would be that shape. Like, what's the issue here? So I had a bit of that kind of amateur external perspective of like, why is this a problem? So, yeah, that's interesting. So union, it's not Union's tool in question. They're just jumping in to defend Lee Valley and Veritas.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Whether they're friends or just like do a similar thing, I guess I don't fully understand. I don't follow really any of these companies, not intentional, it's just kind of a little outside. Like we do some very tangential woodworking things, but like my friend that brought it up, Joe, he asked me if I'd seen this, and I was like, actually, no, I don't. But I relate to it, and it's not a thing we've talked about publicly, but in the last few months, we've had our own bouts of imitations of our products, which has led to different problems. I think we've talked a little about it offline. I'm not going to go into specific things, but it's not a fun process to be like what Lee Valley and Union Manufacturing Co. are talking about, is like somebody that, I don't know, I don't think of myself like this, but somebody that creates something that's innovative or new or different, and then the next person has the easiest step to go, oh, I could make that a little different and improve on the small, medium flaws there could be, or make it cheaper or something. And it's really frustrating to have spent the time and like, you know, you could sit there and go and get patents that likely are just design patents that are really hard to defend, because if you change the look of it at all, it's worthless, and you've still spent 15 grand on trying to get your patent for 2 years. So yeah, we've talked about that. It's just doesn't feel like at the scale of business that I'm at, especially, that it makes sense to go get a patent, because it's not like we're dealing with, you know, how email works or something where it's like a huge tech patent situation. It's like the look of a router plane. Like, anyway, yeah, I can relate to.
Do you know?
Relate to that feeling.
Yeah, totally. Has there been a response from katz-moses?
I don't know.
In all this?
It's a good question. You would think he got called out specifically.
He's a pretty prolific YouTuber, right?
Yeah. He's got 117,000 Instagram followers. Yeah. I had seen him first on YouTube.
Yeah, same.
I know. I take him to be a pretty well-meaning guy. And there are very different opinions about this kind of thing throughout the world, where like Chinese people, that in particular, there's a lot of imitation, and they don't see it as wrong. It's not a culturally wrong thing to imitate or directly copy a product. And, you know, in America, it's very specifically like, we're all about our ownership of intellectual things and want to sue for it. And it's very not right to copy things. So maybe they didn't see it as something that, you know, everybody has their own take on it, but that's also interesting.
Yeah, it's such an interesting area. And obviously, I think that cultural stuff, which doesn't seem to be part of the conversation with this katz-moses situation, but yeah, it's certainly an interesting part of that whole world and conversation. Yeah, look, I haven't had direct experience with this yet, I suppose, but I have anticipation of it. At some point I'm going to run into this personally, professionally, and be at the other end of this situation, when something that we've put a lot of love and hard work into gets duplicated in some way, and it's not something I'm looking forward to.
No.
Yeah, having seen you go through this issue over the last few months, it's not a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of also my consideration of, I mean, the people around me through that situation were kind of just asking me, and my wife included, why do you do this? You know, like, this seems so stressful. And I was like, well, I mean, take out some of these bad situations, these frustrating ones, when things are going well and you're not dealing with that kind of thing. It's great. I love the problem solving. I love making things for people that appreciate them and working with people to make those things like that. The daily, like, just, in this circumstance, the last year or so, it's been Ricky and I just solving problems and making things. And that's a very enjoyable, like, daily life to me. Like, I like that. I would like to add more people to the mix. I love the way that different people can change the way something's going with their different interpretations of it, like a product or a project.
Yeah.
But when it goes wrong, there's nobody else to, like, we are the ones to figure out those problems, I guess. So.
Yeah. How are your sales tracking?
Very dead since we talked about them going well. So it can go up, it can go down. Yeah, I don't know. Weird cycle of the month.
Yeah.
Haven't posted enough. I don't know. I'm sure, like, now that I say that, tomorrow and the next day it'll be good again. So who knows? It's all over the place.
Yeah, ours are very slow and variable at the moment.
Yeah.
Slow start to the year.
Yes.
But I'm still feeling optimistic. I think we're just going to have, our numbers in Jan, I think, are going to look pretty slow. But yeah, we'll see. We'll keep pushing. See how far we can get. It's just also that, I think, feeling fairly disrupted by, it's great to be off work for the week, but I was kind of back for a week and a half and then off again. And feeling that sort of lack of flow. Haven't hit the ground running just yet. And it's easy to sort of assign fault to that of like, we haven't sort of hit our stride on marketing yet because of this disruption, or like, I'm not going to finish that video that we need for the ads this week because I'm away, or like, I need to sort of get it. I'm basically making an excuse. I need to get over that and just do what I can, and then kind of get over it and feel okay about the fact that I'm not doing certain things as well.
Sure.
Just clearly put it on next week's list for when I'm back at work, instead of this kind of lingering feeling of like, I should really be working on that so that we can, continue to push sales this month. But
back when it worked for my wife and I to travel, basically pre-pandemic, we haven't had the opportunity since, so that stuff feels like it's tidied up. But we used to have a pretty strong belief, and we're lucky enough a few times too, that if you took 2 weeks of vacation, the old saying where if you take a week, the problem will wait for you. If you take 2 weeks, they'll figure out how to solve the problem without you.
That's awesome. I like that.
And pretty true. I mean, you just, especially if it's like you go somewhere where, like you are, right? Where aside from you talking to me, which adds to your connectivity, you're just like, well, I don't have cell phone service, so you're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, well, I should stay away one more week then. Then everything will be solved.
Yeah, there you go. Stay
Job done.
indefinitely.
Thank you. No.
Could you handle 2 weeks on the farm?
Yeah, I think I'd get into the swing of it.
Do you help like
kind of a nice
with
rhythm.
work, or do you like what do you do
useless.
when you're there?
They don't even ask for help, really. The 10-year-old child is far more useful than us. Yesterday, when they had this, they almost lost one of their buggies in the flooded creek, and it was in danger of being washed away. And the mum was in that buggy, and she was like almost out of radio range, and the 10-year-old kid was home alone, and we just happened to walk down to their house because we're in a separate building, and she was on the two-way to her mum. And then 5 minutes later, this kid jumps on her motorbike and disappears up the track with a tow strap on her lap. It's like, yeah, we're useless. The children, the farm children will save them.
The city folk don't know what to do. Let them sit inside.
No. Let them sit inside and drink their coffee.
That's the weird thing about, I think, I don't have farming experience, but I did have truck driving trailer pulling, boat pulling experience. So I can drive a trailer and a truck pretty well, like back it up. And so those kind of things, like, you know, help me out in those circumstances. Sometimes I'm like, I get away with a couple. And they're like, grab this horse, and you're like, what? Where's the steering wheel?
What's happening in software corner this morning?
Software corner. Oh, you know, I just never satisfied. So I started looking into, it's a weekend thing actually, where I was trying to think of like, some of these things just not as smooth as I'd like them to be. When I started using Shopify, I was using their like inbox chat thing. Do you guys use that?
Like Jay
web
just
chat.
turned that back on. Yep.
I go off and on from when I feel like I can handle it, because it's usually just me on it, you know? And often they just end up going like without answer anyway, so it just turns into a normal like email request. So
yeah,
didn't really matter. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, this is 2 systems. Why do I have 2 systems? That's stupid. Like, they don't integrate together. So I started looking around. I was like, what else? I did this thing every once in a while. What else is out there now? There are new softwares. And I found one that I tried out called Tidio that was mostly just chat, but it had, the interesting thing about it is it has these bot features, so it can like answer questions for you. And I was like, well, that sounds entertaining. Like for me anyway, I'm sure, you know, if it's useful to the customer, then that's good. And, you know, if you say like, I want to talk to a human, it'll alert me or, you know, send a ticket. I tried that, and it's mostly just been frustrating because people that I normally like send Instagram messages with now are getting like bot chats, and they're like, what, did you get hacked? What's going on? So it's not worked very well. And I was like, all right, this probably needs to go away. Just did one more search, and I found one other one, and I was like, oh, this is a lot better. And they have ticketing integrated and a help desk. And I was like, man, this kind of has almost everything I need for like a full replacement of Freshdesk. Seems useful, but you know, I'm much more hesitant to switch things like that anymore than I used to be, where I just go like, throw it all out. We're trying something new today. But now it's like other people are using it and it's complicated. And so I don't know. It's kind of similar to the thing we were talking about earlier, where it's almost like learning something new, or I just like to keep playing with different things, where I guess I feel like I'm keeping up with new advances in technology, or just trying to improve the process, because it's still not perfectly smooth by any means, the way that like our normal email and customer communication all works. I think it always can be improved. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's that curiosity that got you to where you are, right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And finding some way to hack together Airtable to make a CRM, right? Like that wasn't really like offered as nobody was going, hey, you should use this for your CNC business, you know, like in 2017, but it wasn't too hard of a leap.
Yeah, I think that's so critical, that curiosity and drive to explore new things. And like you said, just that checking back in to see, I wonder what's out there now, like what's changed in the landscape of this product or offering or problem. Like, so good.
It'd been, I mean, I'd kind of looked before, but I used Freshdesk for Knack back from like 2013 or 12. And so I was like, oh, I'll just use that for the CNC thing too. That's good. It was working. It's also free for how I use it, so that's always nice. And I just finally, it was just like, I don't know. I feel like there could be more out there in 10 years. Like, I should look again. And we'll see. It's been fun to play with. So
yeah, cool.
What's going on with you? What are you gonna do next few days?
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna take lots of photos. Just enjoying taking non-work photographs again. Having an excuse to shoot outside without flashes. Learn how to use my camera better.
Yep.
Bits of downtime up here, just literally sitting outside in the shade, just like going through all the settings on my Fuji and just like reassigning custom buttons, reassigning shortcuts in Rhino, put on my camera to like make the workflow a bit more efficient. And just little things like that have been really pleasing. Stuff that I wouldn't justify the time to do back home. Just like slightly slower, different headspace, and just,
We did the same thing.
Slowly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were done.
No, here you go.
I was laughing because I was thinking about I do the same thing, and I remember the last time, I think I remember you going on vacation, you were working on a parametric model of cabinets.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of exploratory thing to me. Is like, but it feels like you don't have the time normally to just like, I'm going to tear down this cabinet model and go start again, or like learn all the settings of my camera, because it's like, I just need to use the camera. I need to get it done. Is there any exotic wildlife? Because that's always the excitement from a American perspective.
3,500 cows.
We have those.
You don't see them. They're just like out in the paddock. What do we got? There's not crocodiles in this area, but we're kind of in the zone of dangerous crocodiles, but apparently they're not where we are, which is good.
Like giant, like spiders or anything?
I'm sure they're all here. Yeah, I haven't seen any, thankfully.
You all are very casual about these things, and there's literally like subreddits about how like Australia is just a terrifying, terrifying place to the rest of the world.
Oh, it is. Yeah, look, no, everything poisonous lives here. Yeah.
It's kind of like how my experience with living in the Midwest was. I grew up with like thunderstorms all the time through the summer, as well as like many tornadoes, which for the rest of the country is terrifying, I found out. But like, I miss that season now. Like, we don't have storms. Like, when I talk about tornadoes, or it comes up out here, like, it happens so rarely. There's a tornado and they're all just like terrified. Like, what did you do? I was like, well, often we'd stand outside and watch them if it was not coming towards us, because they're amazing. But the rest of the country is like, what is wrong with you? Why would you go and hide as far as you could away? Yeah, they're cool.
So did you grow up in an environment where you had a bunker, like, for such things? You
always have a basement in kind of the Midwest because of the frost lines so deep that you just end up building a basement, because your foundation needs to be like 2/3 the way to a basement height, or halfway down. So it's like you're barely spending more money and you get double your house size usually. So it's as well as tornadoes, you need a place to go. So yeah, pretty common. It's weird that there aren't basements here to me. There's also a lot more water.
Yeah.
Cultural background talk today.
Yeah. Nice. All right. I'll go and continue waking up. I'll leave you to your afternoon.
All right. Have a good time off.
Oh, man. Thank you. Have a good rest of your week. Not much left.
Thanks.
But yeah. Cool. Bye.
Yep.